going to the Church of Scientology, St. Louis, org. I'm stopping this second process.
In a documentary, and we wonder if we could have your opinion on something. Have you heard of the Squirrel Busters and Marty Rathburn? I was hired by him to stalk and harass ex-members, and they paid me $2,000 a week. How much do you make? I made $2,000 a week to stalk and harass a man like a rabid dog.
When are you guys going to stop killing people through Narconon?
Your front groups need to stop.
You're preying on vulnerable.
We're on you. We're on you. The gig is up. Flunk. Show me the money. Show me the money. Where's the money going? Where's your hard-earned money going? You're not saving mankind at all. You're not saving mankind at all. You're not. Let me tell you. I've seen what they spend your money on. You probably don't want none of this.
That's the same guy.
As long as we're not being stupid, he ain't gonna mess with us.
Require you to stay on the other side of the street.
Well, when I worked with Scientology and the Squirrel Busters with Dave LeBeau and John Allender, they said that we could get on the sidewalk.
I'll just call the police and they can come and explain it.
I'm sorry, man, but the truck.
Yeah, truck got
I'll call the police, they can explain it.
Okay.
We're not allowed on the sidewalk?
No.
This is public property.
Okay,
But when I worked for Squirrel Busters, they stalked Marty Rathburn right in front of his house.
Okay.
ma'am, if you wish to call him and have him explain it to us,
That's what I'm going to do.
Okay, that's fine.
This is the sidewalk. This isn't the sidewalk.
Hey, Bert.
Yeah.
University police just drove by, looked at us, and continued on.
Well, there's two people at the door now looking out. She made the call.
Well, yeah, police officer just passed. We're getting ready to go to applied scholastics. So, we'll jump into that just a little bit.
All right.
We, Applied Scholastics International is located here in St. Louis, and we understand that you worked for Applied Scholastics International. The public, 99% of the people out there that we talk to have no idea what Applied Scholastics is. They might have heard of it, but they have no idea what its purpose is or what it does. Can you explain Applied Scholastics kind of for dummies?
For dummies. You know, I have a lot of opinion. Now, I went to work out there in their Treasury division because I had firsthand experience with the system they use, because the system they use is the church's only allowed system. So it's the only software that all the churches use. It all feeds into the same area so that all the management can get all the reports. So it's very tied to the church. It started in 1969 basically with a group of people who wanted to have better education for their kids. So they wanted to apply some of the stuff about, you know, the learning technology. And it was probably started in a very wholesome manner, where they just wanted to like probably implement this stuff so their kids would learn how to, you know, define words, know what things are saying, you know, just simple things. But then I believe someone went, oh, look, I think we should take that on, it makes us look good. So then it somehow became very wound up with the church. And it's definitely on the org board of the church, and it's ran right now by David Miscavige almost entirely in a...
Maybe a couple levels of separation.
Yeah, there's a little bit of separation in there that you know, that's subtle, but it's faked. Because they're all ran by what he says these days.
Yes.
When I was there from September '04 through March of '05. And I was also there for its grand opening. I saw the faked pictures, how many people were really not there. I mean, not like it looked. And in that time frame, the place was so dead that your hallways would echo as you're walking through them. Its purpose is to scrape in the money from all these little schools and give them the rights and permissions to use the logo. That's it.
That's owned by...
That's owned by probably RTC. I think you have to use the copyright L. Ron Hubbard and all that, RTC, et cetera, et cetera. But all that it does is it scrapes in money from everything you earn in your school to use their logo and to say that you use the L. Ron Hubbard study tech.
And that money goes up lines, doesn't it?
It goes up lines to some degree. Now this organization, Applied Scholastics International, is the overall umbrella of all of the little schools everywhere that's using those trademarks. They're the policing agency and everything else. You would think that they're giving them stuff to help them to create better schools and whatnot, you know, like producing something for them. Well, when I was there, they were just starting that. So I was there in 2004. What was going on from 1969?
That's right.
So it's very obvious that it appeared to me to be a PR move to make them look better. Oh, look, these are the things we produce, because now we're this big building. But it was definitely empty. There were lots of videotapes going on whenever they would get a group of teachers in there, and basically they're trying to teach the teachers to use this stuff in their schools. There was a lot of effort to make sure there was no connection between Church of Scientology and Applied Scholastics International. But it was there. It was totally there. All the executives were like main executives within the church. Like I was working under Bonetta Slaughter, who was the CEO, and Craig Burton, which was her second-hand person, COO, which we then later found out when we got out. We got out well before we were declared, by the way. We gave our resignation and said, listen, we can no longer support this organization. This is off the rails. We're resigning. The guy said, fine, I'm declaring you, and he did.
So just like that, you resigned because you didn't agree with what was going on?
We went in.
You're declared.
We went in there. We went into the ethics department. We said, here's our letter of resignation. Which
here's our questions.
Here's what we want to know. Here's what we found out, and we don't want any more part of it. Fine, we're going to declare you then. So they did.
And by declaring you that it initiated the disconnection process with a family member, with your son.
Yeah.
And you know that's one of the topics that we're out here covering, is the disconnections and just the breaking apart of families. And so we're gonna go back to Applied Scholastics, and you had mentioned a few minutes ago that they go out into schools. Now, is that only Scientology-based schools, like the?
No.
No.
It's not. No.
Please
no.
elaborate.
And I will tell you right off the bat that I was tucked in Treasury, seeing most of the financial things going on. I wasn't out on the public end of it, but I would hear about things in staff meetings and things like that. I do know that they try to align. With local schools, all schools locally. I mean, those are programs to get the study tech known throughout all schools. So they go in to offer free tutoring in these schools, and that's one way to get their foot in the door. You know, and it's okay. I mean, you can offer something to help students, and I don't think it's wrong to go in and help tutor, you know, or even charge to tutor. There's all kinds of tutors out there. But it is wrong to say you're not connected at all. And it is a front group. It is definitely a feeder line into Scientology. Absolutely. Because you're going to handpick those people who are open to the suggestions.
And you said, you know, the feeder line. And earlier you said about the financial reporting systems. They work together.
Yeah. It's one system. It's called INCOM. and it's a program, a computer program that was built to keep all of Scientology's, quote, L. Ron Hubbard's financial policies from being broken.
Okay.
Mostly the system's just broken, you know. I know quite a bit about that system because I was there when it rolled out. My kid's dad, the one that's dead, my ex-husband, helped with that, with that whole ordeal. It is definitely tied in to all the reporting comes out of that system.
And
Internationally.
They say we're not Scientology. Wow.
Right, well, you know, they
Just
have
the finances are connected.
Yeah.
Now, Bonetta Slaughter and what I was
What's
telling you a
important?
minute ago, Bonetta Slaughter and Craig Burton were both directly involved in the Lisa McPherson death cover-up that happened at Flag.
They were friends. They worked together a long time ago, Lisa McPherson. So after
Yeah.
Craig Burton and Bonetta Slaughter did their thing to help David Miscavige, he got him in a nice secluded place. He took
Cushy
him to the
little job.
Midwest and at Applied Scholastics. And we didn't know this, of course, until after we got out and searched. And lo and behold, I looked up the Lisa McPherson, death. And lo and behold, these two names popped up, Bonetta Slaughter and Craig Burton. I went, we know those people. They're here in St. Louis.
So they took care of them with their action and by landing them a cush job,
Right.
executive level job at Applied Scholastics.
Yep, out in the middle of nowhere.
And these people ran it like worse. Oh my God, it was horrible working for those two people. Absolutely horrible. They were mean. They were not any image that I thought people at the upper levels of Scientology should be, act like or anything. They were all front, all show, all pretty suits and smiles for cameras and people that they didn't know, but mean to the people who they did know, who were important to them.
Just hateful, probably.
Just hateful, horribly hateful. Oh, yeah. So there are some benefits to what they're doing. I would have to say there's some benefits. Some kids can get tutoring, but they are definitely one of Scientology's organizations.
And if would it be fair to say if they would admit who they are, who they represent, the tech that they use there, Scientology, would that affect them going into schools?
Oh yeah, absolutely. In fact, that's the reason they run up against the problems they do, is because the name has got such a bad name. And you know what? I'm going to just tell you, bottom line, the reason they have such a bad name, the biggest reason out there, the reason people hate Scientology and the reason people protest and the reason people talk out is because of the disconnection policy that they say doesn't exist, but it does exist, and it's creating broken families, broken hearts, broken lives, all in its wake, and the only reason that they have it in place is to keep the insiders from finding out what's really going on, because those who are, quote, declared, and you're not supposed to talk to them, would tell them things that would make them question what they're looking at.
If your hands are clean, there's no reason to stop communication.
That's right.
If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, truly helping people, why would you even have a thing? Why would you disconnect? Why would you...
I love that. That's so right.
I mean, the main courses in Scientology, the things you take right at the beginning is called a communication course. That's like the basic of everything you do. You take the communication course. So you learn how to communicate to people on any subject. That's what it states. You're supposed to discuss things. You can talk to people about anything. That's what you're supposed to do when you take this communication course. And then they have this PTSSP course, how to handle suppression.
And detect it.
And how to handle it. And you decide who you want to talk to, right? And how to, confront and shatter suppression. You take this course. Yet, when you find out, or when you find out this information of what's truly going on and try to talk, the cult now decides, well, we're going to tell you who's your SP. We're going to tell you that you're a potential trouble source now, and we're going to tell you to disconnect. So why did you take this communication course? Why did you take this suppression course to detect it if you're not allowed to use it anyway? Because it's going to be David Miscavige is going to tell you who you're going to talk to. And again, it all boils back to we're going to shut you up because I don't want everybody to discover my fraud that I've been, perpetuating on gosh. Everybody.
And if you have clean hands,
well, if
why
you're
are you worried?
You're really doing it, let everybody know.
Right.
Word of mouth is the best PR, and they have shut that down completely, and now it's all videotapes, and they don't want people talking. They just want you to come in and watch their films.
Yeah.
There's no people involved anymore. I think those are running out of people. It'll become all automated.
And the insiders really don't know about all of the people who are leaving. They don't know. They don't know that most of the senior executive strata within David Miscavige's ranks are gone and are out there saying, guys, something's wrong. They don't know.
Yeah, as somebody, a very good friend, always compares it to the Truman Show. It's the absolute Truman Show.
Mm-hmm. I would say
One day you'll hit the wall and
find the door,
up the stairwell, and get out.
Well,
that's really what happened. I mean, yeah.
The Church of Scientology of Missouri or of St. Louis started back here, I think, in the late 60s, 1969. So how long have they been around here? 50?
Quite a few years.
Okay. And in that time, if the technology truly worked, if everything really worked, if you gave people what you promised, wouldn't they have done more than what they've done now? They're sitting down in University City after 5 or 6 decades. They haven't cleared one block. They've still got 20, 30, high times 50 people on staff, and it all falls down. Their central files probably have 60 to 80,000 folders in there since they've been here. They just have all these old dead folders, right, of people that have bought a book or anything like that. If it truly worked, it would have expanded. It would have expanded. It's
observe the obvious, and they're taught that, and they don't.
They go from this really big building in the 70s to 120 some staff. It falls apart, locally, and then they end up going into this building on Page that was next to a carpet cleaning service. That's when I first got involved. They were sharing a building with a carpet cleaning service. Then they get this building over on Del Mar. It doesn't work like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. It just doesn't work that way. And they've got a building over there that they can't handle, they can't pay for, they can't pay the mortgage on. Well, I'm assuming they can't pay the mortgage on it still. 3 years ago, when my daughter worked there, I know they got behind 3 months on their mortgage payments at that time, and then they got...
That was shocking to you, wasn't it?
Oh, it was completely shocking.
It was every day.
Yeah, come to find out it was every day, or every month. And then they bought this Idle Org building in 2007. It's still not open. They're 3 years behind on their property taxes. It's not going to open. I challenge it. Anybody to try to make it open. It's not going to open. It's a boarded up building. Gosh, they paid way too much money for it. Over $1 million for the building when it wasn't worth that, and they paid for a parking lot. Gosh, what was it? $300,000 or $500,000 for the parking lot, and it all came from local donations.
It's right.
It all came from the local people. So there was no money lost by David Miscavige. It was all bought locally, and if it falls, it falls. So what?
The grossest part of regging for those things that I've ever seen is when they take a psych case. They call them a psych case. This is somebody who's been to a psychiatrist.
Who's a really nice guy, by the way.
Oh, it could be anybody. I'm
just saying the person you're getting ready to
particularly
talk
there's
about.
one, that I could give you firsthand, one particular, but there's more. Those people come in, they want help. They think they found real help. Oh yeah, you've been harmed. We could help you. Unfortunately, you've had psych treatment and you're broken. You're very, very broken. I'll tell you, it's just like, we need to get more people cleared and more people OT level before we can take on cases like you, because we have to handle the psychiatrists first. But I'll tell you what, It'll go a long way to making that happen if you'll just donate, donate, donate. And they will take tens of thousands, if not more, money from those people who think they're buying their way into heaven. You know, they think they're ensuring their eternity in some way, and they end up just broke.
There's 2 psych cases locally. I won't mention their names, but
one inherited over $1 million
and gave $1 million, and then another one through a family relation who was a psych case it's a mother-in-law. They got her to go with the $1 million as well.
So that's where
locally.
They're pulling their big bucks
They're
from.
squeezing. They're running out of money. They're running out. You're squeezing blood out of a turnip around here, and I think, you know, they got the hype back in 2007, and we were getting 3 or 4 phone calls per night to try to pay for this building. Our phones would ring and ring and ring until they finally got the money for it. And
it rang and rang and rang and rang. Oh, we were so sick of it. And then when that was all over, we had the book campaign. With the basic books, you had to have 4 or 5 sets in every household. We just threw away our last set yesterday.
Oh, excellent.
The third set.
The third set.
Like, are we done with this?
In the garbage. We were going to video it and all that stuff, but it was just like hanging out in the...
Get it out of here.
Right, right. I go back to having lost my son to it. It's funny because he had just met a girl that liked him, and he liked her, and he had had some experience with her for a while, and she was immersed. Her dad is like an executive over here at the local church. Okay. And he really liked her, and that's about the time we blew. I mean, I took every family member one at a time with a complete list of every detail I had to go over with them to say, ultimately what I'm telling you is we're leaving, and we think you should come too. When that happened with Jeremy, he's like, Mom, I'm in relationship with Sarah now, you know? And I said, well, you know, you just have to promise me you'll never disconnect from me, Jeremy, because I don't care if you want to be a part of that church. You need to find your own truth. You know, maybe it's the perfect thing for you. It just wasn't for me, you know, after I've opened my eyes, and I'm not going to tell you you can't go there. You need to see things for yourself, and I truly believe that. And he said, I would never disconnect from you, Mom. I said, okay, then we're moving forward. I knew that the price was high, but we got our daughter out, my mother out, and I think that's all that was intimately connected, except for a few really close friends, and there weren't that many.
But Jeremy is not out.
Jeremy is not out. Jeremy is worse than not out. They don't even understand their own policies. It's like I said, the mentality of these staff members blows you away. Their own policy letters are all distorted, and even if he wasn't supposed to associate with me, they take it to the limit of they can't even see me. You know, don't be in a situation where you can even see the person. You can't even see their post come through on Facebook under another friend's name. Oh my God, I bet they would just burst into flames.
Yeah, didn't I read something on your blog about the Facebook monitoring?
Yeah, by his girlfriend Sarah.
Yeah, yeah.
She monitors everything so that he doesn't have any connection. Because that little guy, he's really tender-hearted. And he loved his family. He loved me specifically.
He still does.
Yeah, that's what he said. But you know what? That's not love, and that's not how you show it.
Deep down. It's there in him.
Yeah, you know, it's real funny because his dad's funeral, he couldn't come because we were there. But we were not going to not be there. You know, we had to be there. We would have allowed him to not be there. I mean, to not talk to us. Like when he came in on his last dying breath, I went into a room so that Jeremy could go in there and say goodbye. And I didn't come out and hug him, even though I wanted to. You know, even though the dream is every single night, I hug him. I miss him more than anyone could imagine. It breaks my heart. And even one point in my life, I thought, man, I'm not going to make it through this. I'm not going to make it. I just really think I'm going to need medication or drugs or something to get through this. I pulled out of that, thank God. You know, I found something that would help me be happier, you know, and quit thinking about it all the time and just like imagine the good parts. But you know what, if he was ever killed or in a wreck or hurt or in the hospital, they actually literally can keep me away.
Just like Karen.
Exactly. In fact, when that happened, I think I lost it. I just lost it because I thought, oh my God, and that would happen. But, you know, that disconnection is what's causing them all their problems. All their problems. And yet they want to stay at something else. And, you know, Jim and I figured if they found us as SPs, wow, now they could expand. Well, they didn't. They found my mom. Oh, look, she was on staff 10 years. That had to be the problem. They didn't expand. Well, now the 2 OTs in the field.
2 OT8s in the field. They got declared November, and they still haven't expanded.
They still haven't expanded. And you know, one of the OTs that worked out at Applied Scholastics International just died of cancer. You're like going, oh, I want that. There's a lot of people who die of cancer, lots of them proportionately, who have reached these OT levels or kill themselves.
Yep.
It's horrible.
Sorry.
It's horrible. No,
I sometimes give you more than you ask.
Well, you're supposed to be this OT that's cause over matter, energy, space, and time. So you throw yourself off a building, or you shoot yourself, or you get cancer, and obviously it doesn't work. Doesn't work.
Obvious.
Guys, the insider's thoughts are, that's what it is. They just reset.
Reset, yeah.
That's all they did. They just reset.
They wanted to move on.
So-called default.
That's right. I asked I asked a friend of mine. I said, you know what? What do you think? This girl, she committed suicide. You know, she hung herself. That's bad suicide there. This one here, you know, is dead. And what do you think? A lot of these OTs are killing themselves. She says they're just resetting. She said, you don't even get it, do you? I don't get it.
That was a local staff member who got booted off and told she couldn't come back, and it was her whole life, and she ended up hanging herself.
So the amount of suicides that we hear
That's
about
locally.
is just, wow.
And that was covered up. So
Hey guys, I'd say in closing, if you just want to address the camera and just tell.
it's self-imploding. What they promised doesn't work. It was one man's delusion, a science fiction writer, that wrote all this stuff. And it was his own thoughts and ideas and his own truth. And he's trying to make it everybody else's. He borrowed stuff, he plagiarized. He had a lot of intelligent people that started with him in the beginning. And he wanted power, he wanted money, and that's what he got. But in the end, he died in seclusion. You know, he tried to hide the fact that he had cancer on his forehead removed. You know, he was this OT 15, supposedly, but the bridge is a lie too. Actually, any of the information only went up to OT 8. The rest was just a lie. That's why nothing's moved past that. But you just got to look at him, and he couldn't even detect that David Miscavige was a suppressive person either. But the thing is, maybe David Miscavige seen the true guy too and realized it was a bunch of crap, and he decided to take it over. And he's done a great job of perpetuating a big lie, and it doesn't work. So stay away from all of it. It's just a trap.
Perfect.
Would you guys
Excellent.
like
You know,
to plug your blog?
Yes.
For this?
I would love to.
Okay.
I would love
Please
to.
do.
All right.
I'm going to turn this on.
Wait 3 seconds and go. And just say, hey,
Can I just talk to you? I don't talk well to
that's
a.
fine. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I write a blog for Jeremy because I miss him tremendously, and I think maybe he sneaks out and reads it. I can kind of keep up with what's going on. Sometimes I rant, but the blog is myjeremy.wordpress.com, and I think that if enough people tag that thing, then if he ever searches for his name or Sarah's name or anyone's name, it's going to come up there, and I would love for them to see it. Now, the other thing I want to say is I would not be here talking to you today because I could care less about what happens to that organization. I'm done with it. I resigned. I walked away. I decided to get on with my life because of disconnection, because they force people's families to separate, and because of everything that they Oh, it's horrid. Because of that, I'll speak out, and because of that, I will continue to speak out. Had they not forced Jeremy to disconnect from me, I'd have went off into the sunset. I'd have been doing my own thing. I'd have let Jeremy do his own thing. I could, personally, Jeremy's allowed to have his religion. So I speak out because disconnection is wrong. They have no right to be God.
Excellent. Lori Hutch is the same.